Right, first up, news from West Asia. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken discussed ways to get more aid into Gaza as he met Israel's President Isaac Herzog in Tel Aviv. This is Blinken's 7th visit to West Asia since Hamas attacked Israel on 7th October last year. Blinken urged Hamas to agree to a ceasefire and release Israeli hostages.
Even in these very difficult times, we're determined to get a ceasefire that brings the hostages home and to get it now. And the only reason that wouldn't be achieved is because of Hamas. There is a proposal on the table, and as we've said, no delays, no excuses. The time is now, and the time is now long past due to bring the hostages home to their families.
Thanking the U.S. for its support, Israel's President Isaac Herzog said that the release of hostages should be the international community's utmost priority.
I want to thank you for the strong support and the moral clarity in what you've said regarding the initiation of this terrible situation, the war that was waged upon us, the atrocities, as well as, of course, the plight of the hostages. We yearn for the immediate return of the hostages. It is and should be the top priority of the international community. I think there should be a unanimous decision of the international community that the freeing the hostages is an utmost priority.
Meanwhile, Blinken met Israeli protesters who have been demanding the release of hostages held by Hamas. He told them that the U.S. is determined to bring back the hostages.
I just had an opportunity to meet with some of the families of some of the hostages, as I have on every visit to Israel. And of course, as President Biden has done, and so many of my colleagues have done. And I just wanted to share with you what I just shared with them. Bringing your loved ones home is at the heart of everything we're trying to do.
Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has vowed again to go ahead with a long-promised offensive on the southern Gaza city of Rafah. Netanyahu said that with or without a deal, Israel intended to pursue the operation to destroy the remaining Hamas combat formations in Rafah. Israeli officials have said that the operation could be deferred if Hamas accepts the deal on offer, which includes the return of 33 hostages, women, children and those in frail health, in exchange for a much larger number of Palestinian prisoners and a limited pause in fighting. It does not include a definitive ceasefire. The Israeli military said that 2 divisions that left Gaza last week were refitting and repairing equipment and holding training and operational assessment exercises in preparation for continued operations in Gaza. And Sarah Coates joins us from Tel Aviv for more. Sarah, how did Blinken's talks with the Israeli leaders go? Who all has he met so far, and what does his remaining itinerary look like?
Hello there, Ramesh. An extremely busy day for the US Secretary of State Antony Blinken as his shuttle diplomacy continues. As he stepped out of his hotel this morning, the Kempinski Hotel right here in Tel Aviv, he was greeted by a number of demonstrators, also hostage families. He was shaking hands with these people and, as you mentioned, really vowing to do everything in his power to bring these 133 hostages home. Now, shortly after that, he met with Israel's President Isaac Herzog, once again calling on Hamas to take what he's calling an extraordinarily generous deal, saying that the US is determined to get this done. Now, just a little while ago, I saw Blinken and his motorcade actually traveling along the road here behind me. They were on their way to Jerusalem. He is now meeting with the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Shortly after that, he will meet with the Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, also the National Security Advisor Zahi Hanegbi. And after these meetings, they're in Jerusalem with a lot to unpack with these officials, of course, including aid, including this Rafah operation, and, of course, getting these hostages home. He will head down to southern Israel and visit the Ashdod port. This has been open now for a few weeks for the delivery of aid into the Gaza Strip, also visiting a little later after that the Erez crossing, which is another one of these points that humanitarian supplies have been getting through. So certainly a very busy day for the Secretary of State, as I mentioned, and really a lot to unpack with this schedule.
Indeed. Now, Israel's Prime Minister has said that Rafah offensive will go ahead with or without hostage deal. That was before Blinken landed in Israel. Is he standing by his statement, and is the US okay with it?
Ramesh, what we need to remember here is just this incredible amount of pressure that the Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu is under, especially from the far right flank in his coalition, which actually keeps him in power. There have been two ministers, Bezalel Smotrich, he's the finance minister, and also the national security minister, Itamar Ben-Gvir. They have been, over the last few days, threatening to leave the government, walk away from the government if Israel doesn't conduct this full-scale operation down into Rafah, and also if Israel accepts what they're calling an irresponsible deal to bring these hostages home. So I think it's pretty unlikely that we will see Netanyahu change his stance, just given the amount of pressure that he's under from the far right flank in his government. And we also need to remember what he said yesterday, and this was that Israel will fight until absolute victory. We will achieve our war goals, and this is defeating Hamas. Israel is of the belief that the last remaining 4 Hamas battalions are stationed down in Rafah, but this, of course, is also an area where 1.3 million or more internally displaced Palestinians are sheltering. And just very briefly, with no plan yet released as to how these people should get out, Army Radio here in Israel is reporting today that the IDF is preparing to set up so-called safe zones in the central part of the Gaza Strip, although people in Gaza simply say there is nowhere safe to go. Ramesh.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Sarah, thank you. Sarah Coates reporting there from Tel Aviv. Now, in a related piece of information, in the US, police arrested several pro-Palestinian protesters in New York's Columbia University and City College. Such student-led demonstrations have been happening across universities in the country. Police personnel wearing riot gear entered the Columbia University and removed the protest encampments. The police said that the campus was cleared of protesters within 3 hours. Police removed protesters from the university's Hamilton Hall, which was a stronghold of the demonstrations. The university has urged the police to stay on the campus till the 17th of May. Similar incidents took place in the City College, where police dispersed protesters. From one conflict to another, at least 3 people were killed and many others injured in a Russian missile attack on Ukraine's Odessa city early on Wednesday. The attack also damaged civilian infrastructure. Odessa's mayor posted videos on X showing damage to residential buildings. He urged residents to move to safer places. Odessa has been a frequent target of Russian forces, with many attacks aimed at the city's port facilities. Meanwhile, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has urged partner countries to speed up deliveries of weapons for frontline soldiers. On Tuesday, Zelensky noted that the more weapons will enable its troops to face advancing Russian troops in several sectors of the front line. Zelensky specifically pointed to weaponry provided by the United States, saying that Ukraine was counting on prompt deliveries in order to destroy Russian logistics.
Бажаю здоров'я, шановні українці.
We need a significant acceleration of supplies to enhance tangibly the capabilities of our soldiers. We are very much counting on promote deliveries from the United States.
Їх професійний день.
The lawyer who allegedly brokered the hush money payment between former U.S. President Donald Trump and an adult film actor has testified that he believed that the former president was behind the deal. The court in New York fined Trump for multiple violations of its gag order as his criminal trial over falsifying business records continues. DD India's Ira Spitzer reports from New York City.
More drama at this unprecedented trial here in New York, where Donald Trump is being charged with 34 counts of falsifying business records to facilitate a hush money payment to an adult film star. The first session of the trial's third week kicked off with Trump being fined $9,000 for multiple violations of a court-issued gag order over social media posts he made disparaging potential witnesses and others connected to the trial. Then two witnesses took the stand who said they were involved in the hush money payment allegedly arranged by Trump's former lawyer and fixer Michael Cohen. The first witness, banker David Farrow, testified that Cohen opened a bank account for a newly created company and transferred money from his personal home equity loan into that account in 2016. And that was the account used to pay $130,000 to the adult film actress Stormy Daniels, who alleges she had an affair with Trump in 2006. Later, the jury heard from a lawyer named Keith Davidson, who at the time represented Daniels, and Karen McDougal, another woman who has said she had an affair with Trump. Davidson testified that he shopped settlement deals around on behalf of both of his clients, ultimately selling McDougal's story to the National Enquirer for $150,000, and that story was then killed to avoid Trump looking bad. And while Davidson said he worked directly with Cohen, it was his understanding that Trump was the driving force behind a deal with Daniels, an assertion that Trump's legal team objected to. Trump has denied having affairs with either Stormy Daniels or Karen McDougal. Prosecutors are seeking to prove that the payment, which Trump denies making, undertaken ahead of the 2016 presidential vote, rises to the level of election interference. The court will now take a day off before resuming the following day. Ira Spitzer, reporting in New York for DD India.
Still to come on DD India News Hour. South Korea holds talks on joining a part of the AUKUS defense deal among the US, the UK and Australia. The US Justice Department moves to make marijuana use a less serious crime. And a special report on the challenges facing the UK as it aims for a greener future.
Voice of a rising aspirational world. Stories of challenges, struggles and accomplishments. A world battling conflict, hunger and poverty. Embracing growth, development, science and technology. A voice of progress, a voice of unity. Watch Voice of the Global South with me, Akshay Dongre, only on DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. To the Indo-Pacific now, where the Philippines on Wednesday accused China's Coast Guard of elevating tension in the South China Sea after its use of water cannons that damaged two of its vessels. A Philippine Coast Guard spokesperson on South China Sea matters said that their Chinese counterparts had directly used a water cannon against one of its vessels for the first time in what he called a blatant disregard of the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. The spokesperson said that the Philippine Coast Guard would continue its missions to the shoal despite China's provocation and refrain from escalating the situation.
Despite of all the provocation of the Chinese Coast Guard, our Coast Guard vessel and BFAR remains to be there. This goes to show that we're not going to be deterred. Our Philippine Maritime Forces, whether BFAR or Coast Guard, we'll still carry out our mission in protecting the interests of the Filipino fishermen.
Right, joining me from Hong Kong is my colleague Laura Westbrook. Laura, what had happened, where and how? Now, why is the Philippines accusing China of using a quote-unquote very fatal water cannon in the latest assault on the Filipino ships?
Yes, as we just heard there from the Philippine Coast Guard, he has called out the Chinese Coast Guard for this incident that happened on Tuesday, where there were 2 Philippine vessels that said they were encircled by at least 6 Chinese vessels, including the Chinese Coast Guard, and they said that they fired directly at one of their ships for the first time, and that these tactics were going to escalate tensions in this extremely strategic area in the South China Sea. Now, there have been increasing clashes between the Philippines and Chinese Coast Guard, but the Philippines says that in those previous clashes, those vessels were crewed by the Philippine Navy, but they were civilian supply ships. Now, we've heard from Beijing. The Beijing has responded and said that it was simply defending its sovereignty and that it was the Philippines that was infringing on its territory. It's also decried the use of foreign journalists being on board the Philippine ships, saying and calling this out as well.
Now, while we are on the subject of Philippines, Laura, the Philippines is among those countries in the region that are battling a heat wave for some time now. How's the situation now? Is it getting any better?
Well, the Philippines is one of many countries in Southeast Asia that are battling a heat wave. Just over the weekend, Manila recorded its highest ever temperature at around 38 degrees Celsius. That prompted authorities to close down schools across the country on Monday and Tuesday. And this really is also impacting schools across the region. Schools have also closed in Thailand and Vietnam, and in Thailand we've also seen authorities report at least 30 heat wave related deaths. That compares to 37 in the whole of 2023. So here in Hong Kong, I reached out to the Hong Kong Observatory, which records temperatures, and they told me that last month in April it was the highest April since records began. So as Hong Kong as well goes into summer, we are also expecting extremely high temperatures here as well.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Laura, thank you. That was Laura Westbrook reporting from Hong Kong. And staying in the region, China on Wednesday launched sea trials for the Fujian, its third and most advanced aircraft carrier. The aircraft carrier was first unveiled in June of 2022. It had been stationed at Shanghai's Jingnian shipyard, where it was undergoing tests. The Fujian has been entirely designed and built domestically in a bid to make China the preeminent military power in the region. The sea trials are a final step before the aircraft carrier is put into service by China's Navy. That process is expected to take up to 1 year. South Korea has held talks on joining a part of the AUKUS defense deal among the US, the UK and Australia, only weeks after partnership's members said that they would hold talks on Japan's entry. South Korea said that it was discussing the possibility of partnering with AUKUS's Pillar 2, which focuses on sharing military technology. The first stage, or Pillar 1 of the deal, is designed to deliver nuclear-powered attack submarines to Australia and is not open to new members. Formed in 2021, AUKUS is seen as an effort to counter China's growing influence in the Indo-Pacific.
Our government supports AUKUS's efforts to enhance the regional peace and prosperity. Also, we welcome that AUKUS members are considering South Korea as an additional partner for the AUKUS Pillar 2 activities. I'm looking forward to seeing our defense, science and technology capabilities to contribute the development of the AUKUS team and the regional peace.
Australia's Defence Minister Richard Marles welcomed the move, saying that South Korea has an impressive technology. He was speaking after a meeting with his South Korean counterpart, Shin Wok-sin.
Korea is obviously a country with deeply impressive technology, where we do have shared values, where we have strategic alignment, and where we engage closely together. We already engage closely together in relation to technology. So as AUKUS Pillar 2 develops, I think there will be opportunities in the future, and we're seeing that play out in relation to Japan as well, and we talked about that.
Right, take a look at what else is making news around the world. Britain has initiated its first transfer of an asylum seeker to Rwanda for irregular migrants whose applications have been rejected. As per reports, the first asylum seeker to Rwanda was flown out of the country under a voluntary scheme on Monday. UK Premier Rishi Sunak's government is expected to begin the expulsions by July. Under a voluntary scheme, the government would pay up to more than $3,700 each to asylum seekers to move to Rwanda. The British government is expected to deport 5,700 people this year. The U.S. Justice Department on Tuesday moved to make marijuana use a less serious federal crime. The proposal has been sent to the White House Office of Management and Budget for review and finalization. If approved, it will be the first step towards narrowing the chasm between national and provincial cannabis laws, since it is already legal in some form in nearly 40 states in the U.S. Experts in Scotland have created a device designed to warn users about head injury. Known as HIT, the device is a wearable head impact monitor which uses traffic light warning system to guide users regarding medical attention and allow the brain to get sufficient time to recover from an injury or concussion. The device can be used by everyone irrespective of age, gender or activity. Now, G7 nations have agreed to try and phase out coal power stations by 2035. But questions remain about what will replace them to generate the power these countries need. One of the G7 nations, the UK, risks falling behind on green energy production and remaining overly reliant on other fossil fuels, according to a new report. John Beaver looks at the challenges facing the UK as it aims for a greener future.
You don't need to go far in the UK to find a wind turbine. There are more than 11,000 of them. But 9 years ago, in England, the building of new turbines stopped. An eyesore and not right for England were the reasons given by the government at the time. The production of much more costly offshore wind farms was ramped up instead. But experts say that's not enough.
They've built more wind turbines in the Ukraine since the war started than they have over in England. So there's 2 turbines being built since 2023. And in the Ukraine they've built 19. It just shows you how far we're falling behind with onshore wind development in England.
A new report from the environmental group Friends of the Earth says England is being held back by a lack of political will, planning red tape and outdated electrical infrastructure. They argue that by fully embracing green energy, the UK has the potential to become a green energy superpower. The government has recently relaxed some planning restrictions, but critics argue they're still too difficult to navigate and it's putting developers off. There are also growing fears the UK won't hit net zero carbon emissions by its 2050 target. Environmental experts are also reiterating their calls for greater energy efficiency. As well as creating more power through green technologies, the UK and other developed nations are being urged to reduce the amount of energy being used on a daily basis. Some of the methods developed by this environmental consultancy firm were used in the Friends of the Earth report. It says that on and offshore wind turbines, solar and other green technologies easily have the potential to power the UK.
Their study, to achieve 13 times the current generation of renewable energy, you need just 3% of the land. So it's not a lot. And even that would deliver way beyond what we need, 2.5 times the amount of electricity that we need to power our homes. So you don't even need 3%. So it's just a small fraction of the amount of land that we have is actually needed.
England's last coal power station will close later this year. Other G7 nations have pledged to try and do the same by 2035. But the fear in the UK is that they'll need to use gas-fired power stations to fill the gaps left by a decade of underinvestment in green energy. John Beaver in the UK, reporting for DD India.
Moving on, large parts of Asia are sweltering under a heat wave which has stopped temperatures records from Myanmar to the Philippines. The heat has hit much of South and Southeast Asia with record temperatures in recent days. Authorities in Thailand have issued warnings about severe conditions. A wildlife centre known as the Prom Tamau Wildlife Rescue Animals built a new water pond for the elephant. Cambodia's government has advised people to avoid outdoor activities as the heat could surpass 40 degrees Celsius. Scientists have warned of more frequent and intense weather crises because of human-induced climate change. In India, several states across the country reel under a scorching hot weather conditions. Kalaikunda, the Gangetic West Bengal, with 47.2 degrees Celsius, recorded the highest maximum temperature on Wednesday, becoming the hottest state of the country. The India Meteorological Department has issued a red alert for severe heat wave conditions over eastern India till Thursday and is expected to gradually diminish thereafter. Heat wave conditions are likely to continue over the southern peninsular India during the next 5 days. The IMD has also forecast light to moderate rainfall and snowfall over northeastern India over the next 4 days. Still to come on DD India News Hour. Bomb threat at several schools in India's capital, New Delhi, and its suburbs. All the election-related news from India, where the third phase of election will be held on the 7th of May.
India that invents. India that innovates. India that excites. India that invites. Land of possibility. Teeming with opportunities. Watch India Ideas each Thursday, 8 p.m. only on DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. A quick recap of the headlines. U.S. Secretary of State holds talks with the Israeli leadership on ceasefire negotiations with Hamas and more aid for Gaza. The Philippines accuses China of firing water cannons at Filipino ships in the West Philippine Sea in violation of the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea. And the world commemorates International Labour Day, also known as May Day or Workers' Day. All right, first up, let's get you the latest on the world's largest democratic election in India. Campaigning has intensified for the third phase of election. The third phase of the elections will be held on the 7th of May and 93 constituencies are up for grabs. Prime Minister Modi will hold a public meeting at Banaskantha and Sabarkantha in Gujarat on Wednesday. Home Minister and BJP leader Amit Shah held a public meeting in Chhattisgarh on Wednesday. Addressing the meeting, he said that the BJP is committed to keeping Naxalism under check in the state. Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister and BJP leader Yogi Adityanath will be in Maharashtra, where he will hold a public meeting on Wednesday. Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge will be in Karnataka on Wednesday, where he will hold a public meeting. Congress General Secretary Priyanka Gandhi held a public meeting in Assam's Dhubri town. Addressing the meeting, she stressed that priority of the Congress governments in the states is development of all. Another Congress leader and former Chief Minister Bhupesh Baghel will hold various programs in the state of Chhattisgarh. Samajwadi Party Chief Akhilesh Yadav will address a public meeting in Jaswant Nagar of Etawah district in support of the Manpuri candidate Dimple Yadav. The nomination process for the sixth phase of election commenced on Monday. 57 constituencies, including 7 in the national capital of New Delhi, will go to the polls on the 25th of May. BJP candidate from East Delhi, Harsh Malhotra, filed his nomination in the presence of Uttarakhand Chief Minister Pushkar Singh Dhami on Wednesday. BJP candidate from Northeast Delhi, Manoj Tiwari, is to file his nomination papers accompanied by Defence Minister Rajnath Singh on Wednesday. 14 out of 80 seats of Uttar Pradesh will witness polling in the sixth phase. BJP candidate Menaka Gandhi will file her nomination from Sultanpur on Wednesday. She held a roadshow ahead of the filing of nominations. Another party leader, Jagadambika Pal, will file his nomination from the Domariaganj seat of Uttar Pradesh. Samajwadi Party leader Dharmendra Yadav will file his nomination from Azamgarh Lok Sabha seat in Uttar Pradesh. Maharashtra Chief Minister and Shiva Sena Chief Eknath Shinde announced the candidates for Thane and Kalyan seats in the state. The Shinde-led Shiva Sena nominated a former Thane Mayor Naresh Maske as the candidate for the Thane seat. Eknath Shinde's son Shrikant will fight from Kalyan. But the party is yet to announce the candidates for the Nashik and Palghar seats. India's popular daily soap actor Rupali Ganguly joined the BJP at the party headquarters in New Delhi on Wednesday. Right, let me now turn to the full complement of DD India's reporters covering the elections from all parts of the country. We have reporters standing by in Uttar Pradesh, Gujarat and Maharashtra. First to you, Amritpal. Amrit, so you've been traveling in the western part of Uttar Pradesh for some time now. Talk to us a bit, if you will, about the seats that will go to the polls in the third phase on the 7th of May.
Okay, there are 10 seats which go to the polls on the 7th of May. They include Sambal, Bareilly, Hathras, Agra, Fatehpur Sikri, Mainpuri, from where Dimple Yadav who's a sitting MP also, because she won in the by-polls in 2019. Mulayam Singh Yadav had won from there. After his death, Dimple contested that seat and is a sitting MP. She's again contesting from there against BJP's Thakur, Rajveer Singh Thakur. So these are the seats which go to polls. Amla, Badaun. So these seats go to polls. Now these seats are disparate in terms of the issues that, for example, where I am in Agra, leather industry is a big industry. So their issues revolve around leather availability of skilled manpower. But in other places like Mainpuri, Eta, Sambal, which are agricultural belts, issues of irrigation, agriculture are the dominant issues. In say Firozabad, where there's a big glass industry, the issues related to the glass industry are there. So in that sense, there are other issues. I mean, women's safety, the law and order situation, the need for education, jobs for youngsters. So these kind of issues are playing, and of course, though not desirable, but caste plays an important role in Uttar Pradesh. You have lived quite a part of your life in Uttar Pradesh, Ramesh, you know. So if the first two phases were Jat dominated, this is an area which is Yadav dominated, which has been traditionally been the vote bank of the Samajwadi Party. So in most seats, it's a two-way contest between the Samajwadi Party and the BJP. At one odd seat, the Congress has also fielded a strong candidate, for example, in Fatehpur Sikri. At three other seats, BSP is in a strong contest. So these are the, this is what the political landscape of the region which goes to polls, these 10 seats in Uttar Pradesh on the 7th of May looks like. Ramesh?
All right, we leave it at that. Amrit, thank you. That was Amrit Pal Singh reporting from Agra in Uttar Pradesh. Amrit, do stay on. Let me go across to my other colleague, Meghna Dev in Gujarat, and we'll come to more of our colleagues in just a bit. To you first, Meghna, how is the campaigning coming along in Gujarat?
Yes, so definitely with less than a week to go for the polls in Gujarat, we will see all the 25 seats in Gujarat, though there are 26 seats, but one seat where we saw the BJP candidate in Surat win uncontested. So 25 seats will be going to polls out of the 26 seats. We definitely see that the campaigning has picked up in the past week. We saw Priyanka Gandhi Vadra campaign here in South Gujarat. We also saw Rahul Gandhi in the Union Territory of Daman and Diu. Besides that, obviously, Amit Shah, the BJP senior leader, who is also a candidate from the Gandhinagar Lok Sabha seat, has been constantly campaigning here. Even last night, he was there in Ahmedabad to campaign for one of because Ahmedabad has two seats, so he was campaigning for one of them. Besides, we definitely see now Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be campaigning today as well, and tomorrow also. He has multiple rallies lined up, specifically in the Saurashtra region, which is Jamnagar, Junagadh. He will also be campaigning in Anand, where there is a good fight between the Congress and the BJP. We will have, the former Gujarat president of the Congress, Amit Chavda, who's contesting from the Anand seat. So obviously there is a fight between the BJP candidate and the Congress candidate there. But having said all of that, the BJP is obviously known for a clean sweep here in Gujarat. But this time around, when we saw in assembly elections, 52% of the votes went for the BJP. This time around, BJP will try to encash it and secure all the seats in Gujarat. But we definitely see a good fight in Banaskantha, which is in the north of Gujarat. We see a good fight in Bharuch, which is a tribal district, where Chetar Wasawa from the Aam Aadmi Party, who has been fielded by the Indy Alliance, he is contesting against Mansukh Wasawa of the BJP. We also have another candidate of the India Alliance in Bhavnagar. So definitely this time around, in a few places, there is a good fight between the BJP and the Congress. We definitely do not have a multi-party system here in Gujarat, but despite that, two candidates of the India Alliance have been fielded here in Gujarat.
Right, from Uttar Pradesh and Gujarat, now let me take you to Maharashtra, where my colleague Shyama Mishra is standing by. Shyama, any key contests to watch out for in the state?
Well, Ramesh, for starters, we understand that Maharashtra is an important state in terms of the numbers of seats which goes to polls. And in the third phase, that will be on May 7th, Maharashtra will be having 11 seats in the fray. And a lot of candidates would be running their fate in this third phase. So we understand a lot of key competitions are going to happen and some of the important or hot seats here in the 11th, in the third phase of the 11 seats are Baramati, Satara, Sangli. All these are some of the hot seats. We'll start with Baramati because we understand that Baramati has been a synonym for the Pawars, and this time around it is Pawar versus Pawar. So Supriya Sule, the daughter of NCP Sharad Pawar, Supremo of the NCP, she's been there from since 3 terms, and she's up against Sunetra Pawar, who is the wife of Maharashtra's Deputy Chief Minister Ajit Pawar. So both are pitted against each other. Supriya Sule is going to go with all her work she's been doing in these 3 terms to the people, and she's been campaigning about that. Sunetra Pawar, on the other hand, she's backed up by Mahayuti. So a lot of campaigning for her also is going on. An interesting thing to watch over here is that Prime Minister Narendra Modi, he himself has addressed around 7 rallies in a matter of 4 days in Maharashtra, and the campaigning game is real strong. In Satara, we have the 13th descendant of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, Srimant Udayanraje Bhosle. He is against Maha Vikas Aghadi's Shashikant Shinde. Shashikant Shinde is a former minister. So that is also going to be interesting. In 11 seats, there are 3 regions, geographical regions of Maharashtra. Western Maharashtra, we have Marathwada, and we also have the Konkan. So from Konkan, we have 2 seats, which is Raigad. Raigad is known to be popular for the Uddhav Thackeray Shiv Sena. So we have former Union Minister Anand Gite. He's standing there. Up against him is Mahayuti's candidate. Even in Sindhudurg and Ratnagiri, we have Union Minister Narayan Rane. He has been from Rajya Sabha, but this time around he is contesting from Lok Sabha, and against him he is Mahavikas Aghadi's Vinayak Raut, and Vinayak Raut is also known to have a
Shyama, I'm afraid I'll have to interrupt you there. That's all we have time for at the moment on this broadcast. Shyama Mishra in Mumbai, Maharashtra, and Amritpal Singh at Agra in Uttar Pradesh. Thank you for now. Appreciate it. In some more election-related news, Shimoga in Karnataka has witnessed star power in the election like never before. The constituency carries a VIP tag, represented as it is by the former Chief Minister B.S. Yediyurappa and his family for the past many years. And prior to that, it was a Congress Chief Minister as Bangarappa's seat. Now the generation next of both these leaders are fighting for the seat, and campaigning alongside them are the film stars of the Kannada film industry.
Shimoga Lok Sabha seat in Karnataka is witnessing a clash of stars in the electoral battle. In fact, it is turning out to be a multi-starrer blockbuster as far as the candidates and their glamour quotient is concerned. A pocket war of the BJP for the past many poll battles, this time around, the seat is generating a keen interest statewide. Sitting MP B.S. Raghavendra, son of former Chief Minister and tallest BJP leader of the state, B.S. Yediyurappa, is pitted against Geeta Shivraj Kumar. Geeta is daughter of another Shimoga leader and former state CM S. Bangarappa. Her another claim to fame is that she is daughter-in-law of one of the most revered film stars of the Kannada cinema, Dr. Rajkumar. Her husband Shivraj Kumar is also a hugely successful film actor. Her brother S. Madhu Bangarappa, who is canvassing for her in the constituency, is also a movie star and a minister in the state government.
When I see them, I feel very happy because they are so happy to see us there, and so they hold our hands and they hug him, and the women and even everybody, even the kids come there to see us. So it makes me very happy there.
We should not think as a superstar and go and ask for the vote. We should be a human first, because they connect with the films, and they like one of my program in the TV, so they get connected with that. But apart from that, there's one thing called human nature in that, where instantly they get attached to that feeling.
Faced with a carpet bombing of sorts by the husband and brother of the Congress candidate, the BJP nominee has also brought in many sandalwood stars to campaign for him. Stars like Tara joined the campaign and have extensively travelled in the area. B.S. Raghavendra doesn't think that star power is going to be a serious challenge for him to retain his family pocket borrow.
Sir, very good, the campaign is going on. We are lucky because respected PMs have visited our constituency. They bless the Karyakartas and motivate the Karyakartas to doing the election. Voters also curious to see the film actors, but it is not converted to as a vote.
In effect, the voters of Shimoga are witnessing a blockbuster show unveil itself in real time in these elections. The real candidates are fighting for the votes, and the stars following them are fighting for the attention of these voters. Shimoga goes to poll on 7th of May.
Shimoga has been a VIP seat in Karnataka for long, but during these elections, it is having an extended affair with stardom too. And the people here aren't complaining at all, because not every day the silver screen stars of Kannada cinema come to their doorsteps seeking their cooperation, and that too from both the major political parties. With camera person Mor Mukut Sharma, Ravi Dhiman, DD India in Shimoga.
Now, a slump in voter turnout witnessed in the first two phases of the election is being attributed to a multitude of factors such as harvest season, heat wave, migration, vacation, and even a lengthy voting season. DD India's Amritpal Singh and Gautam Roy spoke to voters in different parts of the country to understand what contributed to the low voter turnout. Take a listen.
The 2024 Lok Sabha election is taking place in 7 phases, spanning 43 summer days. It's already May and there are 5 more phases to go, with the last one on June 1st. Mid-May to mid-June see searing heat and are the worst summer days in most parts of the country. The first phase on April 19th and the second one on April 26th showed a dip in voter turnout. Intense heat wave in most places where polling took place is being attributed as one of the reasons that contributed to the slump. The other factors being migration, especially from rural areas to cities, the harvest season, urban apathy, vacation season, and typically lengthy voting season. The voter turnout in phase 1 was 66.14%, while phase 2 saw a turnout of 66.71%. In 2019, the turnout for the seats that went to polls in phase 1 was 69.4%, and those in phase 2 was 69.2%.
While there are multiple reasons for the dip in voter turnout, but people here in rural India say, apart from the sweltering heat, migration is a key reason for the low voter turnout. They say that the youth have migrated to the cities because there are less job opportunities here and they do not wish to come back for one day to cast their vote.
Migration is one of the biggest reasons for low voter turnout. Here in the village, the youth or even those aged 35 to 40 who are living outside for jobs, they don't prefer to travel just for one day.
Due to extreme heat, people tend to vote less in the Lok Sabha election.
Maybe one of the reasons of not coming out to vote in this voting period, this may be one of the reasons of the heat waves caused by this climate radiative forcer species as well as this El Nino impact.
In West Bengal's Murshidabad, which goes to polls on the 7th of May in third phase of the elections, farmers are in the fields. It's paddy harvesting time, and though the farmers and workers are busy cutting the crop and taking it to procurement centers, they say they won't miss out on voting.
I will finish my work first and then around 10-11 am I will go and cast my ballot.
Everyone will go and vote. Marriage and other work won't get in the way. We will all vote.
Clearly, the spirit of democracy thrives in Bengal's hinterlands.
There is no dearth of reasons or excuses to not step out and vote. But there are people, and in large numbers, who say no matter how busy they are, they will exercise their franchise come polling day. With Amrapal Singh in Eta, Uttar Pradesh, Gautam Roy, Murshidabad, West Bengal for DD India.
Right, moving on in some more news from India. Many schools in India's capital, New Delhi, and its suburbs received bomb threats via email on Wednesday morning. The Ministry of Home Affairs said that it appeared to be a hoax call and that the Delhi police and security agencies are taking necessary steps as per protocol. Thorough searches were underway. Further, schools evacuated staff and students as part of a precautionary measure.
जिन्होंने हमें अप्रोच किया है कि उनको एक मेल आया है जिसमें थ्रेट दिया गया है कि उनके प्रीमाइसेस पर बॉम्ब है। तो जब ये कॉल मिला तो उसके बाद दिल्ली पुलिस ने प्रोटोकॉल के अनुसार हर एक कॉल को सीरियसली लेते हुए हर जगह थॉरो चेकिंग करवाई है, लेकिन अभी तक कहीं भी कुछ भी अनटूवर्ड्स नहीं मिला है। ये किसी ने पैनिक क्रिएट करने के लिए ही ये तकनीक अपनाई है जिसमें उन्होंने इंडिविजुअल स्कूल्स को मेल डाला है।
All right, now take a look at what else is making news in India. A Ministry of Finance report released on Wednesday showed the gross goods and services tax or GST collection hitting a record high in April 2024 at more than $23 billion. It represents a 12.4% year-on-year growth driven by a strong increase in domestic transactions and imports. Vice Admiral Krishna Swaminathan has taken over as the new Vice Chief of the Naval Staff. He was accorded a ceremonial guard of honor on Wednesday. Vice Admiral Swaminathan paid respects to the fallen heroes at the National War Memorial. A torpedo system was successfully flight tested on Wednesday from the Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Island off the coast of India's eastern state of Odisha. The supersonic missile-assisted release of torpedo or SMART is a next-generation missile-based lightweight torpedo delivery system designed and developed by the Defence Research and Development Organization to enhance the anti-submarine warfare capability of the Indian Navy far beyond the conventional range of a lightweight torpedo. And now to all the news from the world of sport. In tennis, 22-time Grand Slam champion Rafael Nadal fell in straight sets to Ziri Leka in the fourth round of the Madrid Open, marking his final appearance at a tournament he has won 5 times. The Czech 30th seed Leka ended Rafael Nadal's Madrid Open run on Tuesday, following a straight sets win in the last 16. Nadal received a commemorative trophy from the tournament organizers for his 59 matches and 5 titles, the first on indoor hard courts and the other 4 on clay courts in its current iteration as a Masters 1000 event, before addressing the emotional audience. To cricket now, let me update you on the Indian Premier League. Lucknow Super Giants won the match against Mumbai Indians by 4 wickets in Lucknow. Marcus Stoinis scored 62 as Lucknow Super Giants rose up to 3rd in the table. Chennai Super Kings will clash with Punjab Kings on Wednesday night at the M.A. Chidambaram Stadium in Chennai. CSK is number 3 on the points table, whereas Punjab is at the 8th position. Right, moving on. International Labour Day, also known as May Day or Workers' Day, is observed on the 1st of May every year in more than 80 countries, including India, Cuba and many others. A day is celebrated to recognize and honor the significant contributions of workers and mark the historic labor movement that aims to promote workers' rights and opportunities. 1st of May became associated with the labor movement in the late 19th century after trade unions and socialist groups designated it as a day in support of workers for better working conditions, fair wages and shorter working hours. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of DD India News Up. For those of you on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. You can scan the QR code on the screens to download it now. Right, let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X and Instagram. You can also check out our website ddindia.co.in. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. From all of us here in New Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Up.